Hello, welcome to the Shark Picture Show. Today I'm joined by some fantastic ladies who know their stuff when it comes to horror, and we're going to be discussing the progression of women in horror over the last 40 years. So I'm joined by Jen's Reviews from the Grave, another awesome creator, Ethel Cross from 13 Originals. Her stuff kicks arse. I'm also joined by Lady Sasha, who has a channel, What Did I Just Watch? Coriander, who's part of the Nightwatch crew, she kicks arse. And also Cara from Horror Retrospective, she does some really, really, really class content, so check all these ladies out. So first off, Jen brought up a really interesting question, so a question and topic. Jen, do you want to get the ball rolling?
Well, you see, Mr. Marty, I don't know nothing about watching no horror movies. It just goes over my little feminine brain, something fierce. So forgive me. So my question would be, now, not all men, so if any men watching, don't take this as a blanket statement, but my question is, why do you guys think that some men think that horror films are strictly a boys' club? I've had men myself say, you don't know what you're talking about because you have a vagina and you can't handle brutality. And I wonder, why do you guys think that some men think, oh, this is strictly something that's only men? Ooh, ooh, ooh. So I'm curious as to why we think so, why some men get very uncomfortable with women and think that women have no place in horror except to be part of the body count.
I would say being a woman is more brutal.
Is it? Oh, sorry, Ethel, after you.
Oh no, go for it. You're segueing into something.
No. Again, I'm orchestrating this. I'm not.
I'm actually curious what you have to say to that, Marty. You're a male here. I'm curious what you have to say to that question.
Okay, right. I don't know if you guys know this, but myself and Jen are together. We're on two separate continents, but we're actually working out really fucking well. And honest to God, you're fucking awesome. You like the movies I like. You're fucking crazy. You're a legend. I absolutely adore you for the fact you love horror. And you got more balls than me. You watch stuff that I wouldn't even dream of watching. And I'm like, what fella wouldn't want this? It's like, what the hell?
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot of fellas, at least the one, and I want to bring this to any of you guys, have you guys have men or family or romantic relationships where the guys have found it weird? Because I have, not with Marty, but with a previous relationship. They've looked at me and they also think it's very unfeminine and very unwomanly. We're supposed to be gentle and caring creatures, and they say that the two can't coexist. We can't be loving and caring and still be in poor. So does anyone else have that experience?
Not so much with family, because most of my family also watch horror or sci-fi. But when going to, as I mentioned before, we had a conversation over text about conventions, going to conventions and being talked down to or condescended to. It has happened frequently.
Yeah.
I've never experienced anything where a male thought that way because I liked horror. Every person I've ever been with, they've been right there with me. They enjoyed it. It didn't make them think of me any less. I mean, I've got a couple of kids that it's just me taking care of, and I am very loving and caring, and I love gore. I love seeing anything that is just, I'm like you, Jen. I mean, I've seen movies that most men, some men haven't seen, and it didn't really affect me in a crazy way. You know what I mean? So I think it's
handle it.
Yeah.
But I have had a lot of people say that, and they look at you different, and I wonder why. Why does it bother you guys? Why does it bother? Marty, why does it? Men. Why does you can break guy code?
I I do think there is a kind of there is a primal kind of Neanderthal part of the brain that goes, well, we gotta have one up on the ladies. We gotta have like there is a lot of posturing. I do think there's a lot of posturing when it comes to fandom in particular. And as you were saying, Sasha, as well, it's not just in horror; it's in sci-fi. Like Ethel, you were saying as well that the irony of like exclusionism in the Star Trek fandom, which is totally ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot of it in the Star Trek fandom, and there's a lot of it in like the kaiju fandom too. Like it's seen as more like guy stuff, and like they look at you funny if you're into it sometimes, and they kind of doubt the validity of your interest.
Wow.
Kara, have you ever experienced that kind of stuff going on, Kara?
Unfortunately, I have. I wish I could say no. I actually happened to be. The event was I was actually in a Fry's of all places, Nerd Central, and I was looking for movies, obviously in the horror section, and somebody looks over at me like, "You don't even look like you belong in this section."
What?
And they're just looking at me in disbelief, and I'm kind of like, I don't have to prove that I like this.
Exactly.
I didn't know you had to have a certain look either to like horror. That's interesting. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and not that I'm exaggerating, but I was dressed up. It was my birthday, so of all days to actually get this happen to me for the first time.
Wow.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cruddy, but it wasn't that as bad as it could have been. I mean, I've heard stories where people just really, really get talked down to, and I just more got a reaction of disbelief more than anything.
I'm sure, man. Wow.
That kind of brought me back to like a earlier in my life. I learned, probably in 7th grade, that when everybody's looking at 17 magazine and J14, to don't break out your Fangoria, because they're
I went through the same thing.
That's too bad.
they're like, ew, what are you doing?
Yeah, and they'll look at you, and it's like you're some sort of mutant. Like what is wrong with her? And it's like, this is cool. You want to show like, no, this is really, really cool. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I loved horror ever since I was a child. I was probably like 5 years old when I first saw like Carrie. And yeah, it was crazy and it was awesome. And it opened my eyes to like, wow, you can, experience things, death, and experience things that, just like men, we get the adrenaline rush. We like the feel of, being scared or whatever. And yeah, it's crazy that we're even, the subjects that we still have to deal with, minorities, women, prejudices. I mean, people have to get over themselves, honestly.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially in horror and fantasy. People will dead ass look you in the face and like watch movies about orcs and fairies and wizards, but they just can't believe that a black person could be there or a trans person could be there.
That's
the orcs are okay.
I'm going to say something, and I'll probably have to hand in my man card, but I'm a complete chicken shit when it comes to horror. I know some women who would fucking outlast me watching horror, and then I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, and like I know herself who's next to me, she could watch some fucking crazy shit. And she'd be like,
that's awesome.
Jen, I know you'd chuckle away to fuck if you were watching something. You could watch some guy get his knackers cut off with a fucking razor blade. You think it would be hilarious.
Who couldn't, honestly? But the sad thing is they wouldn't show it. They would not show those balls getting cut off. But they would show someone getting raped or someone's tit getting whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's one movie. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying there's one movie that made me think of that, how a man might feel. Because I kind of didn't think about it, whenever people get like shot in the dick or get, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, get it amputated in a movie, I would laugh, and guys would be like cringing, like, oh my God. And I didn't experience that until I saw Antichrist and the scissor scene. And I was like, oh, that's what it must feel like to watch that.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a great point. That's a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but it is stupid because I genuinely think that again, someone made a comment that a majority of the kind of heroes or the more kind of driving forces in horror movies, the characters are usually women. Mm-hmm. So it makes total sense that,
it's kind of
women.
It's kind of a good thing, but it's kind of sexist at the same time. It's like a good thing because you get to see women overcome adversity, but it's kind of sexist because it seems like they do that because they think the fear or the terror will be worse because the person being accosted is the weaker sex. So it's like a positive and a negative at the same time.
I would agree with that, and I'd also agree that it's who usually it's the final girls but the final girls are almost always virginal too, and it's like the patriarchy saying you got to be a good girl to survive, and if you like sex, and you're dead.
That's bullshit.
I'm actually going to springboard onto the next question. So, does it piss you off that the final girl is usually a Caucasian, virginal, straight edge Mary fucking Sue? Does that not piss you off?
It doesn't piss me off, but it's like they hijacked it because when you watch earlier slash movies from the 70s, like Black Christmas. In Black Christmas, the final girl was the pregnant girl, and the first victim was the virginal girl. And then John Carpenter even said himself the reason why he had them having sex in Halloween was he couldn't think of another activity where a person would be so distracted that someone could creep up on him and kill him. He was not trying to make any type of cultural statement about virginity. He was just like, well, let me think of something that people could be doing that would be so distracting that they wouldn't notice a killer coming up to them. And then with the 80s slashers, they just took that convention and ran with it.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Ethel, what about yourself? What do you think of the whole kind of tropish of this prim and proper, perfect kind of valley girl who always survives because she does all the right things? I think Ethel might be lagging slightly. Okay.
I think a lot of it is just they're trying to go for this angle of marketability, you know? Like, wait, what?
Keep going, Ethel. There's a bit of lag, but don't worry about it.
Sorry about that. Anyway, I think it's like they're going for an angle of marketability because they think that like maybe the majority of people who are going to watch it are going to be more sympathetic to that kind of character, or they're going to fall within the same realm. You know what I mean? As far as physical characteristics, like they tend to think that most horror fans are going to be white or straight guys that are going to be real worried about the poor defenseless Barbie girl.
Yeah,
exactly. It's always a Barbie girl too. You know what I mean? They never have like real women. It's always your skinny little blonde, big-titted, stupid bitch. You never have a smart, tough woman, to take control, and that's what you need.
Oh yeah, women being an operative term. They seem to be very, very focused on teenagers. Why is it always teenagers? You can terrorize 30-year-olds too. You can terrorize 40-year-olds. Everyone doesn't always have to be a teenager.
Exactly.
It's
those
easier.
Men,
slower.
want to look at those.
Yeah, good
crazy.
point.
Also, I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. I haven't been ignoring you. I've just been engaged in actually a fairly awesome discussion. Coriander, going back to what we were talking about earlier on, does it piss you off that it's usually a Caucasian girl that makes it to the end? 9 times out of 10, the final girl is usually Caucasian.
Oh yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's.
No,
go ahead. Finish your question. I'm sorry.
No, but like again, it's like America, the United States has so many races and cultures. Yet it's these movies take place there, but it's always the same fucking Valley girl that's making it to the end. It makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense because, like you said, there's many different races in America, and it's like, it's ridiculous that how many Native actors or actresses are there in big time movies? I don't see any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm so happy now that
horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad that I don't know that white power is ridiculous and crazy. That's all I have to say.
I was going to do like a series for usually I do a lot of Black horror anyways, and I wanted to expand into doing more Asian American horror, and it was really hard to find Asian American horror. I could find lots of Asian horror, which is pretty awesome in its own right, but to find horror movies that actually had an Asian American character in them was hard to find. I mean, the most I could find was the remake of oh God, was it Sorority Row? I think it had an Asian character, and the Hatchet series has an Asian character, but it's like there's a lot of Asian Americans, a lot of Latino Americans, and they're nowhere to be found in horror. It's weird.
It is weird.
I know. I was looking at the same thing for our Latinos, and I found Tigers Are Not Afraid and La Llorona. Not that La Llorona, but there was Shudder did one, and but they're both from Mexico. They just were they were from over here, but those are about the only thing that I could find. And really great movies, but not that. And also Native American. Hard to find Native American.
The only one I found was it's a zombie movie. It's called Blood Quantum, and it was made in Canada. Yeah, but the whole cast is Native. The writer is Native. The director is Native.
Nice. And I haven't seen that, so I'm gonna have to write that down and check it out. Nice.
Unfortunately for Latin American horror, the only movie that comes to mind, and it's not even the lead character that's Hispanic. All the villains are Hispanic, what does that really say about how Americans view other cultures or other minorities or ethnicities?
Exactly. It's always something that they either wipe out or they think, that's the villain, that's the thing that's terrorizing us, and it's wrong.
That's how I felt about the remake to Stephen King's It. They did, if you're familiar with the book, which was one of my favorite books when I was in middle school, one of the main characters is Mike Hanlon. And a lot of the book is written from his perspective. When they did the remake, they kept most of the characters super faithful, except for his. And I was like, the only I cannot not look at that as being racist. Like, what bothered you so much about this character who had both his parents who loved him, who lived on an agricultural farm, not a like a pig farm. It was they grew corn and stuff like that. This character that went to a private Christian school and he played trumpet in the band, and you make the movie and you turn his parents into crackheads who died in a fire, and you make him a drug addict, and it's just I couldn't divorce. And it sucks because the movie itself was so good. It had so much going for it, but whoever the writer directors were, they let their racism show.
Yeah.
Like
funny how that
Coriander,
one character.
Coriander, you were saying like it was pissing you off as well what they were doing in schools with the education.
Yeah. Texas just recently, the senators passed a bill that removes Native American history in schools. There's even, I think, some Martin Luther King stuff. That they're going to try to remove. And I just think that is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. It is very sad. It's very disrespectful. I mean, you have so many tribes that were wiped out when the colonial people came here that don't even exist anymore. And you've got, I don't know if you guys have heard about what's going on in Canada right now, but there's a bunch of schools.
Yeah, the residential schools where they found the bodies.
Saskatchewan, I think it's where they found over 100 mass graves.
That was you know what? They have found now, since May, they have found 1,308 suspected graves that have been uncovered. And
Yeah.
I mean, I heard about it, when they talked about it, when they first started talking about it, but I haven't heard anything since. And it's like, why isn't this being brought up? Why aren't people addressing this? It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's so sad.
Disgusting. And to me, it bothers me because my grandfather is half Native American. So just to think about a bunch of kids that never came back home to their families is beyond messed up.
Exactly.
And for
It's
people
so
that
sad.
don't know, that might be watching from outside the country, there was a time period within United States, Canadian, and they also did something similar in Australia, where they created these residential schools and they would remove Native children from their tribes to re-educate them. They weren't allowed to speak their language. They weren't allowed to practice any of their religion, and they were pretty much trying to assimilate these children. And it stretched even to the reservations. Is my father's mother, she was born on reservation, and it was so bad that she would not speak her language in front of us because she didn't want us to know it. And that's the saddest thing to me, that language is gone. I didn't learn it because she was afraid to speak it in public because of how people were treated. It was terrible. And what made it even worse was there's a time period where they thought that the most dangerous people in America were people who were half Black and half Native. So that was really crazy.
Yeah, it is. It really sucks, honestly. But I am so proud that I'm Native, and I try to flaunt it every chance I get because I don't know. It's just great being a minority. I know we get treated like shit, but I'm so proud of my culture that I actually have a culture to embrace and be proud of. I love it.
I think it's so sad that it's a missed opportunity because movies speak to everybody. Like that's something, and we can, and like if they made movies, that included minorities. I'm not saying everybody's story, sexual orientation, and everything. And that's such a powerful medium. Like we learn so much about movies, we don't even think about it, and it's a really missed opportunity because we can learn so much about each other and a lot about ourselves and learning about each other.
And it's a missed opportunity to capture the youth because when they make these movies that are like 99% white cishet, they are missing the youth because that's not their social circle. Their social circle is diverse, not only just the people they interact with at school, but these are kids that were raised on the internet. They're raised talking to people in other countries. So it doesn't even make logical sense to try to market that to them when that's not what they live anymore. That's not what they experience. They get up in the morning and talk to their friend in Japan or South Korea and message someone else down in Brazil. And then you put on a movie and go, oh, why isn't this popular with the teens? Because that's not their life.
No. Yeah, it's definitely very, very behind. It really speaks that we need more ethnic and young filmmakers that actually speak what's going on now in our time period.
I wanted to bring up. No, Ethel, go.
I was just saying, it's a very narrow way of casting these movies. Like they could get a lot more interest if they did broaden it. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see a positive trans character every now and again. That sure would be great. You never see it. No. And when you do, you see a realistic portrayal.
And Bit is a good movie. If you haven't seen it,
yeah, I was going to mention Bit. I liked that they only mentioned it once, and it wasn't part of her storyline. It just was a matter of fact.
I did too.
It was a description of her character, but they didn't make it the main part of her story. Which I like, because sometimes they do that with Black characters too, where they have to bring in their trauma as part of their character. They can't just be a regular teen. And I liked how they didn't do that with her. They showed that her family was supportive and she was just a regular teen.
Yeah, I like that too, because it's just, that's what they happen to be. People are people are people. And I like that not make it a basis of, the character. It's just part of who she is. It's very cool. It's very human.
Yeah. So I'd like to see more of that as well.
Yeah.
I would too.
It surprises me that you have such a big country, yet 9 times out of 10 you can watch these movies, and it's a white kind of fucking milk toast chick running around in a sports bra, be chased by dude and axe. When like there's so many other avenues and characters and individuals.
They're not
And,
even
like,
diverse with the type of white chick they show. In America, we have all types of different types of white chicks. There's country white
Right.
chicks, there's city white chicks, there's northern, southern. It's always the same, like mid-California-ish type.
Right?
It's like there's all types here.
Exactly.
They're even narrow
Yeah.
with that. They even and also they're
And also
stereotyping-
body type.
I think
Oh yes, yes, definitely.
Go on, Ethel. What are you gonna say?
Sorry, I have a fly in here, and it's
I was just,
No, you're okay. You're good.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of it stems from the people from the people who are in charge of these big production companies, these big studios, because they all seem to be located, in California. They're all located in
Mhm.
Hollywood. So, like, they're going to try and market to what they see the world as. And it's a little tiresome because every movie, like almost every single movie takes place in either California or adjacent to California. All the characters are basically the same kind of cookie cutter people. It's just, it's bland.
Mhm. Yeah, you
Definitely.
don't see that too often.
And again, it doesn't
like,
set
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, no. Okay, Carol, go first.
No, I was gonna say you don't
I
see that
just-
too often, and I agree. Like we watched Near Dark for the first time today, and yeah, it's like that's more of a Midwestern. You've got these country types. They're not really very slick or educated, but you have a different type of Caucasian, but you also see different body types. And I wanted to go back to that as well as body images. You really don't see too many people with real figures, natural figures, and I'm not necessarily talking about cosmetic surgery, but not all of us live at the gym. Some of us are, a little frumpy in the middle, and I'd like
Yeah,
to
some
see
of
that
us
in
are-
movies.
Yeah. Some of us are like more than a size 12.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's funny.
Yeah. And it's hard because it perpetuates this sort of a thing for girls too. I think it says if you're not a size 6, then you're less than. And I think it sucks because it doesn't really matter. And
does.
women can be beautiful in any size. Women are beautiful in
true.
general.
That right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just wish it was more emphasized. Like, people come out with these campaigns for natural beauty, real beauty, embrace your stretch marks and all of this. But yet we see all of this in film, magazines, whatever. And then it's like, you can't really go to the pool and wear your swimsuit without some person pointing and laughing at you for not looking a certain way. Meanwhile, in the back of my head, I'm like, what are you laughing at? You're going to look that way too if you don't already, and you're just hiding those spots.
Yeah.
And you can't win either way, because if you are thin, they will point and laugh at you. I went through years of being pretty much, called the carpenter's friend and being teased for being too skinny. And then if you decided you're going to do surgery, you're going to get hit for that. You can't win. They just want to say something negative about women.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Even if you have the so-called perfect figure, they're going to say, "Oh, she's plastic."
Yeah.
Of course, there's levels. I'm not saying that these things are even. I think it's a lot easier for a person to go through skinny shaving than fat shaming. These things are not even. There's levels.
But they all cause trauma. They all cause scars. We've all had things said to us, or something has happened. I think every woman can take you one time where they just felt totally unpretty, unbeautiful, whatever. Yeah.
Just the fact that people feel they have the right to comment on women. How often do people comment on men? How often does a man walk in a room and everyone goes, "Oh, he's ugly," or "He's too skinny," or "He's too fat"? It's very rare that they get commented on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's usually more like, oh, he looks like a Neanderthal. He has a heavy eyebrow or whatever. It's a different type of criticism.
You leave
Definitely.
Ted Danson alone. Sorry, that's the first person I thought of when you said that.
I personally, I take that as a fucking compliment. But then again, I'm Irish, so That's a fucking step up.
Yeah, like
Well-
well, I mean that's the thing too. Body image is different in every area, as well as in different eras, like 70s, 80s. It's like we all admire different types of physiques.
True.
This is true.
I want to gauge a topic that's I'm interested to get your take away from it. Rape revenge horror movies.
It would be nice to see.
Oh, sorry, Ethel. What?
No, go on. We'll go to the next topic. It's all good.
Finish your point, because I don't want to be the dick who doesn't let the person get their point across. Go for it.
I was just going to say it would be nice to see that diversity in body shape in these movies. You know, at least where it wasn't like a joke. Like, because sometimes you'll see like a bigger girl or whatever in one of these films, and it's just they're joking on her. It's like a big joke.
Yeah, it's like, fuck it. There's people of all different shapes and sizes and fucking complexions, and why the fuck? No one's business what someone looks like. Live and let live, like, you know. But if you don't mind, I'm really interested to get your perspective on this. Do you think there is still a place for rape revenge movies in the Me Too era? Jen, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I do. I do think there is a place in Me Too era with rape. In fact, I think it's more important now. I think it's always been important, but I think it's important now. And I know some people are going to think, and everyone is cool. Like, if everyone has a different opinion, that's totally cool. But for me personally, I think it's very important. And having had experience in this area, I find it very cathartic. I find rape revenge movies very cathartic. And I know some people who have been through similar situations I have find peace. They want to forgive. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But for me, when I'm watching a rape revenge movie and the woman is going after him, I feel very cathartic and it's very uplifting. A lot of people say that I Spit on Your Grave, the original Spit on Your Grave, is very misogynistic. But if you go back and listen to the story of how that movie was made, it's actually not. It was actually the director saw a real life rape coming through and saw how they found a girl there and she was raped and they helped her and she went to the police and it was like she was being re-raped again. And so that's why that brutality of the movie. I know some people find rape rooms very distasteful, but I don't. I find it very cathartic. And there's all different kinds of rape revenge films. I like that there's a lot different than just that. There's Hard Candy, which is another rape revenge film. Even though it's not the victim, it's a friend of hers kind of getting revenge. There's all kinds of ways to do it. There's MFA, there's Irreversible, which I find to be a movie that is very hard to watch, but there's merit to it. There's merit to it. And I'm sorry, I'm going on.
Oh no, I agree with you. And as far as Irreversible being hard to watch, it should be. A rape scene should never be easy for you to watch. If you find a rape scene easy to watch, then they filmed it wrong. It should let you know how horrific that event is. And I agree with Jen. I find them very cathartic. One of my favorites is Miss 45, which is either from 1980 or 1981. And it's about a mute girl who works as a seamstress who's victimized not once but twice. And she is able to get her hands on a gun, a 45. And so she then goes out dressed up, kind of like portraying herself like a sex worker to lure people in that might be victimizing other people. And then she takes revenge on those people, kind of like a vigilante. And I enjoy that.
I love that too.
Yeah, but I think they have to be done a certain way. Number one, you can't make the rape scenes tantalizing or not, or try to glorify them. You can't do that, and you have to make the revenge satisfying.
Yes. Exactly. I think one movie that they got really wrong was the Black Christmas, the most recent one, the remake. One thing that really bothered me is like the women in that movie said, "Oh no, you're a traitor," because one woman wanted to do it in a different way, and the other women said, "You're a traitor." And I find that because every experience is different. Two women can have a similar experience and come out with very different things. And that was a movie I thought they got really wrong. And it also kind of made that movie said men are bad, and as a mother of two boys, that just bothered me. Because not all men are bad. I think that's just as dangerous as message to put out as others. Again, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. You're making good points.
So unfortunately, I can't hear you guys. I'm gonna have to back out and come back in. I didn't hear anything y'all said, and I didn't want to interrupt you. So I'll back out and come back.
Okay, cool beans, Coriander. I'll let you back in. Ethel, what's your thoughts on the topic of rape revenge movies? Oh.
Well, I mean, I like the concept because it's real. Well, when it's done correctly. When it's done correctly and it's done with that air of realism, and like Jen was saying, they don't glorify it. You don't make it tantalizing. I think it's good because it's all about seeing them get their comeuppance. Like in Last House on the Left. It's really difficult to watch it. It's horrific. I'm talking about the original, not the remake. And when you finally see them get it, when the revenge happens, it's satisfying because it's like finally, they're going to make them pay, and they pay dearly.
As well, they should.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of this movie? It was recent. For some reason, the name escapes me, but it was about a woman who was taking revenge on she was taking revenge on some guys that raped her friend in college. It had a very candy-colored palette.
Was it
about violin school, Sasha?
Was it MFA?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Was it MFA?
No, it wasn't MMA. It was that one was decent. It came out after that. It came out in 2020. Oh, gosh,
was it the one set in the orchestral school?
No, it was a woman that she was pre-med and she ended up working at a coffee shop.
Oh, promising young lady.
That's the one.
That's a fantastic movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Didn't care for it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like the revenge was unsatisfying. I do get I'm trying to talk it in a way that won't spoil it for Coriander.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I think that the director or the writer, I should say the writer, was probably going for a more realistic interpretation and showing how sometimes things don't always work out for the victim.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that though. Nobody wants to see how things don't always work out. No, we want to see people,
get their comeuppance.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you can. And I think you can do. I think you can find a middle ground where you can be realistic, but still get the revenge. And
that's
go ahead.
Ethel, your connection's going. Do you want to come out and go out and come back in again?
Oh, I was just gonna say, you have to have good revenge in it because that's the whole point of having the rape in the movie in the first place. Otherwise, you're just punishing the audience.
I have heard people say, though, getting back to your point, I have heard people say that like the rape, if it's too graphic, then oh my God. And I'm like, that makes me so mad because it's like, dude, it's a rape film. That's part of your point. Like and they're not fetishizing it. It's just showing because unless you've been through it, you'll never understand the brutality, unless you've been through it.
Yeah.
Right.
But my complaint is they never really show the effects on the person mentally, either the victim or friends or family of the victim, because you still deal with, of course, trauma, flashbacks, even if your hair just kind of brushes your face a certain way. Sometimes you're just in that moment all over again. And even if it was just 5 or 10 years ago, and there's no real escape, even if you do get the revenge. And I'd kind of like to see it more from the perspective of go torture porn with it. Like just have the woman go all out and just really lay into him.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to add generationally, I've learned a lot from Gen Z because being part of Gen X, there's certain things that I had normalized. And it took a Gen Z person telling me that's not normal. That's assault. Like I had normalized going to a club or going to a bar and getting your ass grabbed. That's assault. But for our generation, that was literally normal.
Yeah, or it was like the guys being sweet or, flirting.
Yeah,
It's
getting cursed out where somebody says, hey, let me talk to you. And you're like, oh, no, thank you. And they're like, fuck you, bitch, you're ugly anyways. That's assault. But
Well,
we had normalized that.
we never think of it like that. We never, I'm from that generation too. And you don't think of that. And you think, okay, it's, and you feel like it's your fault. Or I do. Like, I feel like it's like, okay, you put your head down and it takes another generation to show you that, hey, maybe you're not wrong. They are. Very good point.
Very
good point.
For sure.
But unfortunately, things like that still happen. Like I come from a small town, and there's still a very like old mentality about how things are done. Like I still see women in bars like get their butts pinched, or have a man tell a woman off, and then he takes her home for the evening like nothing ever happened.
Yeah. Part of life.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason why I left the small town that I grew up in. I was like, I can't take it here anymore. I have to go. I have to go, or I was going to make myself go, like no longer exists. So I had to go.
I get that. That. The small town mentality is, I think, can be very detrimental to, especially for women. Yeah. And like you said, we grew up in it, and you think that's what you think is normal because you don't know any better.
Yeah.
The other side, and I am no way fucking condoning it, there needs to be education at fucking home. There needs, like, Jen, I know the fact that your two fellas are going to grow up fucking fantastic. But there needs to be a time where kids are taken aside and go, look, you don't treat a woman like this. You don't fucking hit a woman. You don't fucking grab a woman's ass. You don't fucking sexualize or ogle or like it's still like it starts at home. And I don't think there's an excuse for it, but I do think there needs to be like some kind of fucking education, maybe even in schools. Maybe there needs to be a fucking program in schools that like common courtesy or common how to treat another human being. Because
I think
that's
in American schools that wouldn't work because they're still punishing girls for wearing, strapless shirts instead of how people treat them for wearing a strapless shirt.
Exactly.
They can't. We're not there mentally yet.
No,
in America, unfortunately.
No.
I think a lot of it would come into play if men actually are willing to meet women halfway and acknowledge, this behavior is unacceptable. I want to set a better example for my son or for my daughter and behave the way I would like my daughter to be treated. I want her to learn that behavior is normal in the home. Or, just a father actually teaching his own son. I'm like, you don't treat girls this way. I used to do this when I was younger and I didn't know any better because no one taught me. But I want this for you. I want you to be better. I want you to be modern and just catch up with the times.
Some of them have this mentality where they can't separate. I was saying it backwards. They have this mentality where they separate the two. Some of the most sexist people I know are super overprotective of their daughters. And it's like the reason why you're super overprotective of your daughters is because you think that other men are going to treat them the way you treat women. And it's like, how do you not see this?
They never do.
Yeah. There needs to be education.
The answer to that is, since dad knows what a dirtbag he is, he should teach his daughter to avoid that type of behavior, warn her about those types of men.
Definitely.
A great film in horror that I think really touches on all this would be The Woman, because there is a scene where you've seen it, huh? Great movie. And I think that touches because the father is, they capture a wild woman, and he's raping his daughters, his oldest daughter, and he's also, the son is kind of following in the same father's footsteps, and the mother is so complicit, and she knows what's going on, but she doesn't stop it, or at least not for a while. And I think that's kind of a extreme point, but that's kind of what monkey see, monkey do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all learned behavior.
Mhm.
And also monitoring what culture your children take in, because a lot of music culture, we like to say that music doesn't affect us, but it definitely affects us. If you can put on a song and it makes you happy, and you can put on a song and it makes you sad, then you can put on a song that makes you feel aggressive or makes you feel a certain way about women.
Yeah.
So it's important to talk to kids about what they're taking in and how it affects them emotionally and mentally.
Exactly.
Do you think?
Yeah, and there's a lot in the music world where.
No, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. That lag getting me. Their music in the music world, there's a lot of disrespect towards women and like glamorized mistreatment and yeah, it's a bad example, and I don't want to sound like that one person who's like all for censorship or something, but like I don't know what's going on in the minds of these artists. It's like you write a song like that and you glorify it. Like,
I definitely want to jump on that, Ethel, especially as a person who identifies as Black. I'm tired of record companies pushing us as the world's whore. Sorry. There's different types of Black women. There's nothing wrong with stripper culture, but when you eliminate all other types of Black women from the music landscape, that sends a message. That's not cool. Like when I was growing up, we had Janet Jackson. We also had Sade. Like even with hip hop, you had Kaya talking about my neck, my back, but we also had Lauryn Hill and Missy Elliott. Now it's like only just Little Kim clones and Madonna clones and nothing else. There's no new Celine Dion, where it's like everything is just
or Whitney Houston.
Or Whitney, yeah. It's not cool.
It's not. But again, that society is pushing, like, this is what girls are for, eye candy and sexualizing. Yeah.
I'm ready for men to be sexualized, That's all I have to say.
It's long overdue, and truth be told, I wouldn't mind watching a film with men wearing shorts.
Nothing.
Just no shirts at all.
Whoops.
I'm like, hey, I want to stare at something too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean,
But Marty,
I'm a woman. I enjoy men. I like looking at men. So I wouldn't mind, instead of seeing all these naked women, show me a man here and there,
You have to check out
please
this horror
us too.
movie called Leeches. And there's like a whole shower scene that has no purpose except to show men in the shower. And I like that.
Nice. Right? Who wouldn't? What, woman who loves men wouldn't. That's all I have to say.
Fear there's a reason why Mark Wahlberg Fear is one of my favorites.
I've talked about this before, and Marty knows my position. I'm a big proponent of full male frontal in these films. Like I think it's a place, and we never see it. We hardly.
It's true. It's like I don't understand why it's so taboo. Is it because it hangs? I mean, come on. I don't get it.
I just thought of one time that was epic. Shout out to Kevin Bacon in Wild Things.
Oh yeah,
right.
I should say Kevin and his bacon. He was like, okay, here it is.
Exactly.
But do you think it's because men think it's like not like it's beneath them to show stuff where women, it's what we're expected to? Do you think that might be part of the culture too? Like it's easier for women to show our boobs than it is for men to show theirs?
I think it's the producers being insecure. Because I think a lot of these actors we've learned from social media that a lot of these actors are exhibitionists and they would like nothing better than to show themselves. But I think these older producer dudes still have like a Mad Men mentality where men don't do that, women do that. But I don't think the younger actors care.
Yeah, I think it's probably stems from a place of like homophobia and stuff on these producers and directors' parts, where they feel like if they show that in their movie, people are going to question their sexuality, or maybe it's just they don't get the attractiveness of of this
Of the naked male body.
for their
Maybe it's just most of the actors have tiny fucking dicks.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, there it is.
It's
They
cold.
could use
It's cold in
prosthetics.
here.
They did that in Boogie Nights. They used a prosthetic, and I heard a rumor that some of the actors in Game of Thrones use prosthetics.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Wow.
Apparently, Jason Momoa didn't need it. He had to wear a pink sock, and it put Emilia Clarke laughing for ages. He had to wear a pink kind of I don't know what was the term, a decency sock or something. So he wasn't going to.
Wow.
This sort of reminds me of Linnea Quigley in Return of the Living Dead. They didn't want her to show her coochie area, so she shaved it.
Nice.
I was like, so it's still kind of shown, but it's just it doesn't stand out as much.
As a straight woman, I actually thought that was even more attractive, that she actually was willing to show her body that way.
And her walk, she had this badass zombie walk that to this day is amazing to me.
Yeah.
My favorite line in the movie is where like she starts stripping off, and off camera you can hear one of the punks, "Trash is taking off her clothes again."
Yeah.
It's a regular occurrence.
Right?
And I love when you look in the back and you see Miguel El Nunez and he's dancing like this.
That's like the best movie. That's one of my favorite zombie movies.
Same.
So I got one more question to ask you. And I don't know if we kind of already covered it, but like the victim trope of women in slasher movies, like it's a time to like I know in Likes of Scream there is male victims, but largely the ratio is women. Does that piss you off to a fucking certain extent?
Yeah. I mean, come on. I'll say right here because I got to get going. All I got to say is I'm tired of like the damsel in distress. Like I said earlier, I'm ready for a strong, smart woman to survive, and they do it on their own abilities. They don't have to rely on some man. You know?
Yeah, that was
I agree. They should definitely do it a lot more. Like Your Next, for example, she's very survivalist, but I mean, she kicks butt the entire movie.
Yep.
I think that's why people that with Halloween, because Laurie Strode, especially in 2018, really showed a badass. We got when we saw her in the 70s, she was this very innocent, sweet girl. And then when we got the very badass, but what I also loved about that movie is the trauma part of it. I thought the PTSD was captured very well in that movie. But we also saw a badass. And I think that might be why the kill of the 2018 movie is because I thought that was a great. She was just so badass. Like, and I was like, as a woman, I was like, yes, you go.
That's why I like Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. As a kid, I was I was 9 years old when I saw Nightmare on Elm Street, and to see her set up these traps in the house, I don't know, that was everything to me. I was like, okay, you don't have to be the strongest; you can be the smartest.
Yeah, exactly.
Use your wit, and you don't have to use your wiles either. I mean, there's always a way around it.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's your thoughts?
Well, I was thinking that's probably one of the reasons that the Sarah Connor character, is, at least from the Terminator 2 film, is so admired and stuff. Is because she's strong. She might be in distress, but she's taking care of business. Like, she was breaking out of that insane asylum all on her own before John and the Terminator even came to help her. You know?
Yeah.
And I have to shout out Jada Pinkett in Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she kicked ass in that. Like it's there is. Do you think there is a female kind of heroine renaissance in horror and stuff. Like not just horror, sci-fi. You've Mad Max. You have Charlize Theron as Furiosa. They're bringing back like the likes of fucking Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, Sarah Connor in Terminator. Like the Terminator movie, yeah, but Sarah Connor was the best part. Do you think there's time as well though for new heroines, more new heroines kind of coming forward? Like, what franchises would you like to see a new heroine in?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, they could, if they were going to continue the Alien or Alien versus Predator series, I think they should go with having a heroine in that. But a lot of the newer movies have kind of sucked with that. Like, for example, Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder wanted us to believe that badass Latino with the headband on would get killed right away, but Batista's daughter would make it to the end of the movie. I want to smack the hell out of him. Like, what is wrong with you?
I love zombie tigers too much to get too mad at that movie, though. I love the zombies too much.
There's definitely fun stuff about that movie, but that one thing was so stupid to me.
It was.
Why not just flip-flop the characters? Batista is Filipino. Why not have his daughter be the badass chick with the headband? That's all you had to do.
I agree.
Like again, there's so much avenue, but Hollywood just seems to have total tunnel vision with a lot of the stuff they're doing, and it's like, Christ Almighty, you have so much fucking leeway, and you're talking about it. See, Hollywood seems to be working on virtue signaling than actually creating more fleshed out characters. It's just to tick the boxes and stop being cancelled. It's like, no, fucking flesh out these characters. Give us characters of different races, different nationalities, different genders. Just fucking do it because it's part of the story. Don't do it because you feel that you have to be the fucking the click of the day or the hashtag on Twitter.
What they're doing is, instead of greenlighting projects from newer directors that already have these elements, they're taking older directors, already established directors, and telling them, oh, you need to make a movie and include a black person, a queer person, an Asian person, but that's not the base of the movie. They didn't have to tell Wes Craven to add a black character in The People Under the Stairs. He was already there. They didn't have to tell. I was just talking about the rewriting of Candyman. I'm forgetting the writer's name, but when he rewrote the screenplay for Candyman and moved it from London to Chicago, they didn't have to tell him. Yes, Clive Barker wrote the novella, but it's a different screenwriter that wrote the screenplay for Candyman. But Clive Barker wrote the original novella called The Forbidden that took place in London. It already talked about class struggle. When they changed the location to Chicago, and it being America, they added a racial context over the class struggle. It didn't need to be, it wasn't a producer decision. It was part of the story. And I think now they're doing these producer decisions because it's popular, but there's no heart to it because it wasn't, these things were not written with those in mind. Just greenlight the projects that are written with those things in mind.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree.
Yeah. Well, if it's forced in, it also just feels very, very fakey and SJW and all this other just powdered nonsense. It's like, why not just present something realistic, or just let more ethnic writers or directors take the front row instead?
I know when I was doing Fear Street, I read a review saying that people were upset because they said, why did the main characters need to be a lesbian couple? And I was like, to me, it felt very natural and just part of the story. But people were actually getting angry because, well, it should be, because of the R.L. Stine connection, it should have been, like more in the books. And I was like, no, I liked that. I thought it was a very cool thing, and it felt very organic and very natural. But some people were getting very angry while I was reading reviews on it. I was like, I don't get this.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a shame. Actually, I liked their relationship in part 3 more than even in part 1. Yeah,
I did too. 3 was my favorite, actually. 3 was my favorite.
Oh, I haven't seen 3 yet.
It's good.
Oh,
It's really good.
Yeah.
Ethel, you wanted to say something there. Sorry.
Oh yeah, well I think like a lot of that misplaced anger at some of these more diverse characters stems from the fact that we have an overabundance of hollow characters that have no writing put into them, and they are just virtue signals. And what it does is it takes away to write it out thoughtfully and make you care about the character. So, like a lot of people will just make a snap judgment based on what they see in a trailer or whatnot, or what they read online about it, and they'll say, "Well, this is just one of these. This doesn't have to be like that, And it's like, well, wait a minute. Did you look at it? Was it written thoughtfully? Or is it hollow?
Yeah, I'm thinking I might wind it up there, unless, ladies, there's anything else you want to cover, or do you think we've covered everything? Or
I would just say maybe go through the chat a little bit, because we didn't really respond. Yeah, I'll leave it up to you.
I gotta get going. Thank you guys for having me on. It was great meeting you ladies and having this discussion. And yeah, hopefully we can all get together again sometime.
Thanks a million, Coriander. Bye.
Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Also, for anybody, because she forgot to say it, Coriander often appears on the Nightwatch Zone. So subscribe to the Nightwatch Zone to hear more Coriander's opinions on horror movies. She does a great job on there with Night.
She does.
Just a quick going over of the chat. Jesus Christ, quite a few things. We have Sexy Monkey in the chat. Trenchy, I'm joking. Crangle flackers. I do not know what that means. Our Miser Monty G. Night Coriander. Soul's trench coat. There's two extremes that need to chill. American Werewolf in New Jersey. Hey, how you doing, dude? We have Corey in the chat. Hit the nail in the head, Ethel. Soulless trench coat. Yeah, Sasha. Jesus Christ. I'm going blind with this heat. False Proxy says, hey, Nightwatch. And Kubrick Lover says, it's all statistics and numbers for the suits. False Proxy agrees. Equality is what it comes down to. Marty, it's formula driven. That's why I like foreign films a lot. Horror Miser, Monty G says, I agree with Trenchy. You nailed it, Trenchy. Let's see what Trenchy said. I mean it, Monty. It's all about being confident in your sexuality. I guess I feel most of the hate and censorship stems from insecurity. Yeah, no, fucking dead right, man. That's a really good point. Going back, let's see. Kubrick Clever says maybe men are too inhibited, but try to put on a show and hide their real feelings. Yeah. Toko Guko says, I'm so ready. If it was a straight woman can see boobs all the time in horror, why can't straight men see having their dick seen? Okay. It's fairness is fairness. Like, if a woman has to strip off, then a guy should be willing to show his, meat and two veg without fucking any kind of issue. Big thanks to everyone who tuned in this evening, because y'all kicked ass. Junebug, Tuku Ogogo, Kubrick Lover, Soulless Trenchcoat, Kinney Gore, Nightwatch, Monty G, American Werewolf in New Jersey, False Proxy. You guys all kicked ass. Before I wind things down, Jen, what's next on the hit list for Jen's Reviews from the Grave? What have you coming out next?
We have our second Fear Street up today, and the third one will be going up tomorrow. And we were going to be doing Saw, but that's like our next movie. We're gonna Spiral. So we're finally gonna be, because Christian was gone when it was out, so we're gonna be watching Spiral, which I'm very curious about. So even though I haven't heard the greatest of things.
Ethel, what about yourself? What's next in the pipeline? What's your next thing coming up?
All right. Next thing coming up, we got Sci-Fi Sunday, guys. We're going to be doing a day at the beach stream. We're talking about all the science fiction and horror movies that take place on, around, or near beach. And it should be a lot of fun. Also, following Friday, I'm going to have a watch along. It looks like the votes have decided it's going to be Curse of the Swamp Creature, the 1966 B movie. So that should be fun.
Very cool.
Lady Sasha, what's next in the in your repertoire?
I just finished editing my almost finished editing my horribles tag, and I still if hey internet, it's Eric is watching. I'm still doing your tag. I already recorded. I just have to finish editing that. But the next thing to post besides that tag will be a new Coast to Coast horror with me and wordsmith Crystal Connors, and we will be talking about the top 10 possession horror movies.
Oh,
Cool beans. That sounds awesome. Cara, what do you got next to the pipeline?
If it works out, I'm going to be doing a stream for Cycle of the Werewolf on Friday.
Cool
So just kind of changing it up and just sticking to the audiobooks or the audio dramas for the meantime. And in the background, I'm just kind of filming a lot of bulk since I'm trying my hand at Vlogoween this year. So I don't know if it's going to work out or not.
What is Logoween?
It's kind of like one of those 31-day challenges. Instead of reviewing a horror film every day in October, I would be posting a vlog for each day in October.
Oh, very cool. I look forward to that.
And yeah, Coriander was in here as well, guys. Go check Coriander out on Nightwatch. She kicks arse. Nightwatch kicks arse. Awesome guy. I'm usually there Friday nights talking about horror sci-fi movies. So yeah, on Monster Friday. So definitely check him out. He does, him, Killian, and Coriander do some awesome fucking reviews, and they kick arse. So yeah, I'm going to wrap things up. Big thanks to everyone who's in the chat. Sasha, also big thanks, and Sadie. Sorry, I never got to mention you earlier on. Thanks a million for tuning in, guys, and thanks to these awesome ladies who joined me and took the time to participate, because he kicked arse. And if I can go, once this video is processed, I'm gonna have links to all these ladies in the video below. And yeah, have a good one. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay, goodbye.
Adios.
Bye, guys.